Hello, everyone. This is chapter 7 from the Java textbook by Tony Gaddis with it. We're talking about arrays in this chapter. One of the dynamic data types that you're gonna hear me talk about this thing. Let me just briefly go over with each of the bullet points in these for the objectives in these chapters with it. The first one, I'm going to address what's called arrays in here. We're going to need to talk about how to process arrays content, meaning how to write to it, how to read from it. We're going to pass arrays as an argument to a method, meaning we're going to use the data type for the arrays to put into a function with it. Some useful arrays algorithms and operations we're going to use for it, and how we're going to use arrays as a return method from a method with it. There's string arrays, and there's also array objects in this thing. So there's also sequential search algorithm, selection search, sort, binary search. Some of these you're going to hear again if you ever have any for data structure with it as well. There's what's called two-dimensional arrays that you're going to have processed with it. Basically kind of like a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet that has two addresses for each of the cells with it. And I'm going to talk to you about arrays with 3 or more dimensions with it, and there's a command line argument, and lastly is the array list class. Let's talk about the arrays. Just really kind of like, what's the definition of array? So it's basically a primitive variable are designed to hold one or more value at a time. It allows each of us to create a collection of like values and index. Think of it like a can of tennis balls. It has all 3 types of tennis balls that you have inside with it. You can't have like a baseball inside of a can of tennis balls with 3 types of balls with it. If they're all ints, they have to be all ints. If they're all float, if they're all doubles, they're all the same data types with it. So this is what this is saying. So how do you create an array? So you create an array by using the syntax as the new with the data type of size 6 for number. Now arrays always start out with 0, and they're initialized. Every element's initialized to 0 with this as well with it. So this is how you create an array with the syntax. Is you use the int with the square brackets, and then you assign it to the identifiers called numbers, and it's equal to new is what you use, and the data type is int with size 6 in this thing. So you're going to see, for example, you're going to create 6 in this thing. You're going to create like 100 containers for a temperature. You're going to create a new character for 41 letters in this thing, for example. These are just several examples of how you actually declare and create an array with this thing. When you create an array, the array size must be a non-negative number. You can't have a negative number with an array with it. It may be a literal value, a constant, or a variable with this thing. So let's say you have array size is 6, and that, if you notice, it's uppercase is the identifier, array underscore size. So what happens is that when you put a 6 into array size with this thing, and you can pass it in here as array size, the 6 goes in here with it, and it's a new. It's a data type as an int with this as well. Once an array, this is very, very important, once created, an array size is fixed and cannot be changed. So you cannot change an array size once you have it allocated with that size. You can't come back here and change this constant 6 to a 5, 4, anything else with it. Okay. How do you access an array with this thing? Remember now, array starts out with the number. First element is always 0, because we as human, we start out counting with digits, with our fingers. But computers, they always start out with zeros with it as well. So when you start counting with the elements with the zeros with this thing, an array is accessed by the reference name. A subscript identifies which element to access the array with this thing. So you can actually, you pronounce this as 0, or with the subscript with the element 0. So with a subscript 0, element 0 is what I always say, refer to it. But remember, the equal sign is the right side equals the left side. Here you're putting 20 inside of this element 0, okay, of number with it. You input and output an array, same way. Let's take a look at the array demo 1 and 2. So here is array demo 1. This is in your in your book. This is on page 449 in your 6th edition, code listing 7. So in here, what you have is a sample of your ArrayList demo, and this is your public static void main. You create new ArrayList of a string in this case, and you're going to put it as a name list with this thing. So the syntax to create is ArrayList, and you're going to create a new array in this case with it. Hold on a second here. I put the wrong one. I'm sorry. Hold on. My apology. This is ArrayList. I'm supposed to put up the array demo. Let me close out of this right here. I just got kind of ahead of myself in this thing. So here's the array demo. My apology with this thing again. I'm sorry. I didn't seem kind of advanced for what we're talking about with this thing. So this is how you create an array. This is still ArrayList demo. Hold on. Let me pull up the right one. So this is the array demo in this thing. So in here, this is on page 449, and in here is where you're going to actually create an array. This is the constant of number arrays with this thing, and this constant new num is a new employee is this number right here. So this assigns to hours with this thing as you're creating a new array with this thing. So as number of employees is 3, is you're going to create 3 containers to hold the employee hours with this thing. Okay, so in here you're going to input the scanner object, which is the keyboard. You're going to actually prompt the user at this time to enter in the number of hours that they're going to actually put in here. So here it's going to number of employees is going to come out as 3 because this 3 is this 3 right here. Okay, so this 3 is going to enter the employee work hour, concatenate that with this number 3 that you have, concatenate with this string called employees. So you're going to get the employee number of hours. You're going to store in the number of hours in the first element. Let's say you type in 20. You type in the second one is 30, and stores in each one of the elements that store here. And then it shoots it out, outputs the display out here, which are these display out here with it. Okay. So let me pause right here. I apologize for a little glitch I had, but let me pause and before I move forward on this thing.